Tom Swarbrick on LBC. Listen on your smart speaker. Just say, play LBC.
10 to 6, Friday evening, Tom Swarbrick here on LBC means, as you know, one thing. As thousands attended the Unite the Kingdom rally in London a few weeks ago, the former alt-right pin-up Lauren Southern, who now disowns her past, joins us after the news at 6 to take your calls. But not before we've gone stateside for Simon Mark's American Week.
Tom, there are some weeks when, even by diminished local standards, you sit back and wonder, how did we get here? When I first moved to Washington 33 years ago, it was a city of vibrant intellectual debate. But now, well, let's start this week with our old mucker, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina.
If he can get Saudi Arabia to recognize the Jewish state Israel, he'll have ended the Arab-Israeli conflict. They should change the Nobel Prize to the Trump Prize.
In many ways, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more effective poster child for America's decline as a serious nation than Senator Graham. He raced onto Fox News this week to back President Trump's sudden and ludicrous demand for Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan, among others, to normalise relations with Israel. Out of the blue on Monday, the president suddenly called that a new mandatory requirement for any ceasefire extension between Washington and Iran, as if what those discussions really needed was yet another complication. Senator Graham, once a relatively serious character here, has become a total pastiche of himself since he bent the knee and pledged fealty to Trump.
To our Arab allies, you need to help President Trump make peace with Israel, build on the Abraham Accords, and if you say no to him, you say no at your own peril.
Now, nobody serious thinks for 1 minute that the hardline, brutal Iranian regime battling for its survival is suddenly going to turn round and abandon decades of hatred towards Israel. Most of the other countries in the region aren't up for it either, and certainly not at a time when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is issuing evacuation orders for entire cities in southern Lebanon as he continues down a brutal path of his own. As the New York Times veteran foreign policy columnist Tom Friedman wrote this week, Trump's idea is so ridiculous, juvenile and unvetted by any experts that it had to have left Israeli and Arab allies deeply worried that their American protector is led by a truly unstable man. And there were other signs this week of that instability during the latest edition of the TV show that White House officials with a straight face still call a cabinet meeting.
The strait's going to be open to everybody.
And who will control it?
It's international waters. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up.
The president there casually threatening to launch an attack on an American ally, Oman, which lies on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz from Iran. The Omanis reckon that if Iran is going to end up charging a per-vessel fee for every ship that passes through the waterway once it's reopened, they should be cut in on the deal, which led to the president threatening to launch airstrikes on Oman, a key regional ally, and, by the way, a member of Trump's Board of Peace. So the move must have come as a real disappointment to another prominent Board of Peace figure, Tony "We must do whatever the Americans want" Blair. At Wednesday's cabinet meeting, there was another issue on the agenda, the deadly outbreak of Ebola, now spreading worryingly through the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio closed the door on the idea that Americans have anything to worry about.
We cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States. And so we're working very, very hard to contain this crisis to the countries where it's currently located.
So let me just translate that for you. His cunning plan is that if any Americans contract Ebola, they must not be allowed to end up on US soil, but instead are going to be sent to a hastily constructed clinic in Kenya, a country with no reported cases of Ebola. And because Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency laid off so many experts at places like the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes of Health, the White House is now urgently recruiting volunteers to man America's airports and be on the lookout for any arrivals who might be feeling a bit peaky. And there's something else you need to know about this Ebola outbreak.
In 2024, our USAID commitment to the Democratic Republic of Congo was more than $1 billion. Last year, brace yourself, 67 million.
That is Laurie Garrett. She wrote the book on an earlier Ebola epidemic in the region and won the Pulitzer Prize for it. This week, she told MS Now TV that the evisceration of the U.S. Agency for International Development has left the door wide open in the DRC for Ebola to spread like wildfire.
Nearly every single hospital, clinic, pharmacy in all of Democratic Republic of Congo was wholly or partially dependent on USAID support, and that's gone. Pharmacies are empty. Stores are empty. The clinics are gone. According to humanitarian organizations, 300,000 more people have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo since USAID was cut.
And that's before this latest Ebola outbreak. UCLA's School of Public Health estimates that more than 14 million preventable deaths will take place within the next 4 years if the defunding of USAID continues. Still, at least Elon Musk enjoyed prancing around on a stage brandishing a chainsaw last year. And this week, President Trump enjoyed once again demonstrating that even though his approval rating continues crashing to record lows with voters, he remains the dominant force in Republican politics.
Tonight, we just sent a Texas-sized message to Washington. Today, change was on the ballot and change won.
Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, celebrating a political earthquake on Tuesday in the Lone Star State. He defeated sitting Republican Senator John Cornyn, who was accused by Donald Trump of failing to kiss the presidential ring with sufficient vigor. And so Senator Cornyn became the third Capitol Hill lawmaker this month to find himself deselected by Republican voters acting on presidential orders.
Tonight, we've come up short. I've spent most of my time in the Senate building the Republican Party in Texas, and I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election.
Which is pretty big of him, given that President Trump had just upended his 24-year career. And to what end? Because Ken Paxton looks much less likely to win in Texas in November. He's a Trump mini-me, bathing in unending scandal, indicted on security fraud charges, impeached by the Texas House of Representatives for abusing the powers of his office, and last year, in a challenge to his much-professed Christian faith, was sued for divorce after his now ex-wife accused him of adultery. Until just a few weeks ago, Senate Republicans officially branded Mr. Paxton incompetent, truly repulsive and disgusting. Now, thanks to Trump, they're stuck with him as their candidate, and he's up against one of the fastest rising young stars of the Democratic Party.
The most corrupt politician in America just became the Republican nominee for the United States Senate.
James Tallarico, remember his name because in November he may pull off a stunning victory in Texas that could even hand Democrats control of the Senate.
3 years ago, Ken Paxton was impeached by his own party for using his public office to enrich himself and his donors. That kind of corruption is the rot at the core of this broken system.
So Mr. Tallarico is now in the White House crosshairs.
The Democrats have a weird candidate. He's a vegan, all of a sudden he's not a vegan. Here's a vegan, now all of a sudden he's not. Texas doesn't like vegans.
President Trump unleashing on vegans, by which of course he means vegans, and spreading complete falsehoods about Mr. Tallarico, who is not a vegan, but who once had the gall to tell a group of animal rights activists that meat eating contributes to climate change, which of course it does. Now, as they did with Kamala Harris when she made the same point in 2024, the Republicans are accusing Mr. Tallarico of coming after the voters' cheeseburgers and Texas barbecue. This from Ken Paxton's victory speech on Tuesday.
Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico.
Pity the poor voters who are in for 5 months of relentless character assassination. As Mr. Tallarico and the younger generation of Democrats fight for control of the party, this was the week when former First Lady Jill Biden decided to remind everyone of her husband's worst moment.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID.
Who can forget it? Joe Biden melting down during what would turn out to be his only TV debate with Donald Trump 2 years ago. Now, Jill Biden has a new memoir out and she's taking to the airwaves here to flog it. In an interview airing this weekend on CBS Sunday Morning, she discloses the big reveal.
I had never, ever seen Joe like that. As I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke.
In the book, she claims she thought he might even have been drugged. But that's not exactly how things appear to have played out on the night. Because the second the debate was over, Mrs. Biden, who claims she thought her husband was having a medical issue, took to a stage with him to try and give him a big boost.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the... And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
And after that, they all went out to a Waffle House, which is definitely the last place I would want my wife to take me if she really thought I was having a medical collapse. In fact, it's the last place I would want her to take me pretty much ever. The point being that it might have been better for the former First Lady not even to write the book, rather than sparking yet more questions about why her old man was running for re-election in the first place. We are awash here now in the trivial, the ridiculous, a country, Tom, that just cannot stop lampooning itself.
From Washington, D.C., Simon Marks, American Week.